Hi, my name is Tammy Edwards, and I'm a Christian deliverance minister. Today I want to bring a message about Does God Speak? And so in the last few days I've done two messages on the first two pages of this book called Knowing God, and I'm calling it a personal revival workbook because I'm hoping that through it we will have create a increased intimacy with God through knowing Him and understanding His character and hearing His voice and obeying Him. And so it's much different than the relationship that we seem to be being taught about in the church, which seems to be about having a relationship with a book and with others, but not necessarily about having one with God. So today I want to bring a message on Does God Speak? I'm going to be looking at pages 3 and 4 of the workbook. And I want to remind you that in page 1 we talked about who God is, that there is only one God, not a trinity of gods. I likened it to my position as a mother, daughter, and sister. Those are three distinct roles of who I am, but I don't become three people in those roles. I just have a different audience. As a mother, I have the audience of my children. As a daughter, I have the audience of my parents, and as a sister, I have the audience of my siblings. So I don't become three different people. Those are three distinct roles, and so it is with God. On the second day, we talked about examples of God speaking to the patriarchs, the prophets, and others in the Bible, and we looked at that they were expected to obey God. That was the purpose of hearing God. And so today I'm going to read some scriptures about hearing God. I'm going to remind you that God did speak to the world into being. He spoke to the prophets and the patriarchs. He speaks to his children. And that there was 400 years of silence at one point between the Old Testament and the New Testament of the Bible. The mere fact that there was 400 years of silence implies that he spoke before and after that 400 years. And when you think of 400 years in our country is less than 250 years old, 400 years is a long time to not hear God or have that relationship with God that is two-sided. So I want to bring these scriptures on page 4 of the notebook. It says, "Whoever belongs to God hears what God says. The reason you do not hear is that you do not belong to God." That's John 8:47 NIV. I want to repeat that one though because it's very important. It's Jesus speaking to an audience, and he says, "Whoever belongs to God hears what God says. The reason you do not hear is that you do not belong to God." This one found in Matthew 4:4. Jesus answered, "It is written, man shall not live on bread alone, but on every word that comes from the mouth of God." So I want to say something here. God is not a book. He never was, never will be a book. Okay? There are recorded words from God in that book, the Bible that we read. But there are also recorded words from the devil, evil spirits, demons, the patriarchs, the prophets, other people with opinions. So the Bible is not solely words from God. If you've ever seen a red letter edition, you know that because it's less than 50% of the Bible is the red letters, which are the words from God. Here's one found in Jeremiah 11:7. "For I strongly warned your ancestors when I brought them out of the land of Egypt until today, warning them time and time again, obey my voice." That was Jeremiah 11:7 from the CSB translation. The rest of them are from NIV. "And God said, let there be light, and there was light." Genesis 1:3. The emphasis on God said. He spoke the world into being. This one from Deuteronomy, and I want to mention this about Deuteronomy. Deuteronomy was a book of speeches from Moses before the people entered into the promised land, which Moses did not enter into. But Moses was known to have face-to-face conversation with God, and God told him the creation story years after, many, many years after it happened, because the people were in captivity in Egypt for 430 years, and Moses was the one who helped bring them out of that captivity with God's supernatural power. And so here's Moses many years after the creation story telling the creation, being told the creation story by God, and him writing the first 5 books of the Bible. But this is from Deuteronomy 30:17-20. It says, "And that you may love the Lord your God, listen to his voice, and hold fast to him, for the Lord is your life, and he will give you many years in the land he swore to give to your fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob." This one from Exodus 15:26. It says, "He said, if you listen carefully to the Lord your God and do what is right in his eyes, if you pay attention to his commands and keep all his decrees, I will not bring on you any of the diseases I brought on the Egyptians, for I am the Lord who heals you." Notice the conditional aspect of that. If you listen, if you do this, if you pay attention. And this is another one that is, this one's from Jeremiah 7:13. It says, "While you were doing all these things, declares the Lord, I spoke to you again and again, but you did not listen. I called you, but you did not answer." This one from Jeremiah 7:23. "But I gave them this command, obey me, and I will be your God, and you will be my people. Walk in obedience to all I command you, that it may go well with you." This one from Jeremiah 30, and that was conditional too, if you think about that. He says, obey me, and I will be your God. Okay, this one from Jeremiah 35:17. "Therefore, this is what the Lord God Almighty, the God of Israel, says. Listen, I'm going to bring on Judah and on everyone living in Jerusalem every disaster I pronounced against them. I spoke to them, but they did not listen. I called to them, but they did not answer." From Isaiah 65:12. "I will destine you for the sword, and all of you will fall in the slaughter. For I called, but you did not answer. I spoke, but you did not listen. You did evil in my sight and chose what displeases me." From Leviticus 26:21. "If you remain hostile toward me and refuse to listen to me, I will multiply your afflictions 7 times over as your sins deserve." From John 10:27. "My sheep listen to my voice. I know them and they follow me." From Revelation 3:20. "Here I am. I stand at the door and knock. If anyone hears my voice and opens the door, I will come in and eat with that person and they with me." And this is from Revelation. This verse is found in all the letters to the churches in Revelation, all 7 churches, in Revelation 2 and 3, and it's found throughout other places throughout Scripture too. But hear this: "Whoever has ears, let them hear what the Spirit says to the churches." That's not saying what you read about in a book. It's saying what the Spirit says to the churches, the one and only Spirit of God. Okay, so I've read you that and maybe got you thinking about the idea that you should be hearing God. But I want you to hear this that God gave me this morning. It's a little bit strong wording, so I caution you that it is strong wording, but I want you to hear God's heart. This is what God said, and he called it perverted intimacy. Perverted intimacy. "They don't know spiritual intimacy because they refuse to listen to me in prayer, confining me to the pages of a book. They are left with one-sided prayer masturbation." I think I need to read that over because I think I didn't use my punctuation like I should have. God said, they don't know spiritual intimacy, period. "Because they refuse to listen to me in prayer, confining me to the pages of a book, they are left with one-sided prayer masturbation. Some use the Bible as the equivalent of a spiritual porn magazine to stimulate themselves while ignoring me. Others want a spiritual threesome by coming to me to bring prayer requests for friends or family, only focused on outcome success rather than knowing me. Most use the Bible as a cover because they are reluctant to be laid bare before me as if I didn't already know every motive of their heart. But darling, you know me and what I desire in spiritual intimacy. I want to be listened to, included, and connected with at the heart level. I want to be heard, trusted, and consulted, just like you desire. I want my beloved to unashamedly demonstrate faith, loyalty, and perseverance. It would hurt if you chose not to acknowledge me in public or defend me to the gossipers. You are committed to me. Our intimacy is life-changing. I wouldn't want to be without you, nor you without me. We all know the difference between romantic intimacy and sexual lust. Nobody wants to be used and abused, especially me. There are those who post the equivalent of a celebrity selfie with me on social media, but who have no idea of what I am about. They are not willing to set aside time to be alone with me. They visit me once a week at church without remorse, like paying for sex at the house of a prostitute. But you are my bride. I am your husband, not because there is a county permission slip between us, but because our protected and nurtured love never fails. Your prayers of faith and obedience, my beloved, are a fragrant offering that arouse me to speak and be heard. So I've brought you this word today. I hope that this will help you get thinking about what your relationship with God should be. I pray this in the name of Jesus.